Hi guys, it's time to get back to the littles. We're going on to chapter 2. I want you to think about inferencing, using what you know to get an idea of what might happen in the story. So, in chapter 1, we learned a little bit about the littles. They live in the walls of the Big's house, and they use some of the things that the Bigs leave around to get by. So they get scraps from their food, but they help the Bigs, right? They fix their plumbing and fix their electrical. So in chapter 2, let's see what happens. One day in May, the littles were together in their living room. The two children, Tom, 10 years old, and Lucy, 8, were on the sofa next to their mother. Granny Little sat in her rocking chair knitting a red sweater for Tom. "Don't know why Henry Big made such a fuss when we took his old red socks," she said. "One of them had a real bad hole in the toe." Do you remember in chapter 1, Henry hollered out to his mom that his red socks were missing? Uncle Pete, holding his cane, leaned against the fireplace. "You have enough red yarn there, Granny," he said, "to start a knitting factory." Mr. Little was walking back and forth. "Please sit down, Will," said Mrs. Little. "You're making me nervous." "Now, there's no reason for us to be worried," said Mr. Little. "The Bigs have gone on vacation before." "But never for 3 months," said Mrs. Little. "And what about this new family?" said Uncle Pete. "The Newcomes." He shook his cane in the air. "We don't even know them." "We don't have to, Uncle Pete. I keep telling you that," said Mr. Little. "If they're good enough for the Bigs, they're good enough for the Littles. Besides, they'll only be here for 3 months. We can stand anything for 3 months. "Why do they want to rent the house for only 3 months?" said Tom. "Isn't that kind of silly?" "The Newcomes are from the city," said Mr. Little. "Sometimes city people rent houses in the country while the owners are away on vacation." "It's like a vacation for city people to live in the country for a while," said Mrs. Little. "I don't like it," said Uncle Pete. "Suppose they bring a cat with them." There's a picture of Granny Little knitting. Lucy Little moved closer to her mother. "Oh, Mother, suppose they bring a cat with them." Mrs. Little put her arm around her daughter. Granny Little stopped rocking. "Did he say they have a cat?" She nodded toward Uncle Pete. No, said Mr. Little. "He said suppose they had a cat." "Oh," said Granny Little. She started rocking again. "I hope that they don't bring a cat." "Ah, who's afraid of an old cat?" said Tom. "I wish everybody would stop talking about cats," said Lucy. "I'm afraid of cats." She looked from person to person. "Please, let's stop talking about cats." Why do you think the Littles are afraid of cats? And what other changes do you think the Littles might have happen because the Newcomes are moving in instead of the Bigs for a few months? We'll see in the coming chapters.